Hey everybody. So I'm here with Kat Sajak to talk about research and how to really conduct good research, especially when it comes to doing something like poetry analysis. So the big thing to really understand when we're doing analysis is we don't want to look up somebody else's analysis of something. Yes, it will make you sound smart, but that is really a not very sophisticated way of plagiarizing. And it actually takes all of the thinking out of the processes that we want to be thinking, doesn't it? And so, with that in mind, I want to walk us through a couple ways to do good research um, that's gonna get us to something instead of thinking about it the way that we may have done in the past, where we're kind of relying on somebody else's expertise to give us the answers. We want to come up with the answers on our own, and yes, sometimes that does come with requiring to lean on somebody else's expertise. Go ahead and talk about research and where we might want to go to research. So. Um, I've given us the four places that I would like you to do research, and then of course there's always this fifth one, which is where we usually start, which is Google. So okay, let's say I'm researching Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven, and I literally know nothing about Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. So I want to go ahead and start my research off somewhere. So this is where I approach research from the where do I literally start anything kind of approach. And so it's not a terrible idea to go to Google and um, look up Edgar Allan Poe, right? This is not the worst place in the world to start. Even Wikipedia is not the worst place in the world to start my research. I'm certainly going to get background information, which might be useful for my old historicism. I'm certainly going to get, a good list of his other poems, right? So maybe I get a sense for his style. All of this is decent information. Um, of course, we understand what is the problem with not the problem with Edgar Allan Poe. He had plenty of problems. What's the problem with Wikipedia? I don't trust any of this information, right? I certainly don't trust any information that is completely editable on a platform, right? I don't trust it at all. So I do appreciate that I can come down here and look at all of these sources and see, are these references that I really want to follow up on. And when I click on a reference, uh, this is a book, so it's not going to do much for me except give me the ISBN number, which I have to look up somewhere else, right? So unfortunately, this is probably not going to work too well. Yeah, here we go. These external links might be a lot better for me. So it's not like this information is worthless. I just don't want it being represented in the final draft of my thinking. I certainly don't want to put anything by Wikipedia in my works cited page. And that I really want you to get through your head because a lot of people have a problem with it. The use of Wikipedia should be starting points, right? This is dipping your toe in the water. It's getting general information, but you have to fact check this information. You have to find it somewhere else that's a little better of a source to really use. And then I'm not going to use Wikipedia in my works cited page. I'm going to use that better source, right? So I would bet the Poe Museum in Richmond, Virginia is a much better place to get this information if I want to like look at his background, right? So this is how to effectively use that Google search. Now, the Google search can be used for some other things that are going to be like tangential to my Poe research. So I want to look at maybe his poems. And if I didn't know where else to look for his poems, then Google's going to work just fine, right? But I also know that I can go to poetry.org or poetryfoundation.org And I can go ahead and look up Poe here. And I'm going to get pretty much, I don't know, 75 to 80% of all of the poems I could find online are going to show up in Poetry Foundation. I know that as an English teacher. Maybe you don't know that, but that's a pretty good place. Like this is about as much of Edgar Allan Poe's stuff we can find for free. That's open to kind of the world. Granted, he has a lot more stuff. Maybe if I went back to that Poe museum, I could find some more. There are certainly some websites that are dedicated to Poe, where you're pilfering, but you know what? Pilfering in the name of academia is not the worst crime that you can have, especially if you're not republishing or anything like that. If you're just using the information for a paper, you're going to be fine. So these are some ways that I'm going to use, a good Google search just to kind of get me to that generalized information. Using Wikipedia or using this to find some of his other poetry to see like, does Edgar Allan Poe seem to have some habits that he uses throughout his poetry? Oh, they're all gloomy and gothic and dark and creepy. Who would have thought? Well, that's really going to help me to understand something key about Edgar Allan Poe, right? A much better place to actually do rich research is Google Scholar. And so Google Scholar has some problems to it. One is that it seems like a lot of the really good stuff is behind paywalls. But if I look up Edgar Allan Poe here, I'm going to start to get books. I'm going to start to get, searches that are related to this. So here we go, criticism. That's a pretty good one. And now I can start to see like, okay, there's some people, the conscious art of Edgar Allan Poe, that might be worth looking at. Let's go ahead and file this down. I kind of suspect that I'm not going to be able to get it because it's through JSTOR, but read and download, log in through your school or library. So again, Google Scholar is a pretty good resource, but if you can't get past this paywall, then it's not going to help you, right? So that's one of the things that's kind of a detractor about Google Scholar. Granted, they have some good stuff on here, but if it's going to be like through JSTOR, like I'm not even going to click on that because I know it's going to get the same thing, which is a little difficult. Now, historical guide, maybe through Google Books, I could really find some stuff that's been published through Google Books, and that might be a little worth my time. So this is a whole book that it seems like is free for me to access, and if I could get the cursor to move a little bit on this page, that'd be even better. View all. Can I do that? Maybe not. Again, you kind of have to fiddle with it. So Google Scholar, it's not the worst in the world. It's better than Google. It's attempting to do what these other sites are going to do. We'll save Vanderbilt for last. So let's go ahead and go to our St. Louis County Library. And what I like about St. Louis County Library is I'm going to do research, and I'm going to look at my research topic or my resources or my catalog. But let's go ahead and go to resources. And I'm going to look up L for literature to see, do we have some literature criticism? Oh, look, literature criticism online. So I'm going to go ahead and log in here. I actually am not a county resident, so I don't have my login. But this is kind of the place to go, or maybe the resource center is the place to go, and you can go ahead and use your online access to use a lot of stuff from the library. So the nice thing is there's a lot of stuff from the library that's worthwhile, that you're gonna be able to do 75% of the best research possible just by using your local library. Afton as well. Don't snooze on our library. In fact, if you don't have that login, I would contact Ms. Nelson and get that login because research is going to be really important. Now, our library does not have everything that you would really want. Opposing viewpoints is not going to help you as far as literary analysis is concerned. Explora, again, I think, let's see, there should be a passwords tab. Don't snooze on the passwords tab. Oh, there you go. Okay, so you need to contact Miss Nelson if you want to get into these. But Explora and EBSCO are really the place to kind of go to get information from Afton. You need to contact Miss Nelson for that information, and really she would be happy to help you. So let's go ahead and do really the main reason that I want to do some research and really talk about research, which is how to use a school's resources. So Vanderbilt's obviously my go-to right now. And so I forgot to log in. I need to log in. All right. So the beautiful thing about a college library, which we will get to know a little bit more, and is definitely a part of your English kind of 101 course, or your 1500, which is this course, or your 1900, which is our next course. The big thing to know is how to interact with libraries like this. So just a brief understanding is I'm going to go to databases, and these are all of the databases that are featured from Vanderbilt. And a school is in many ways only as good as the connections that it's made to have as many databases as possible. And so you'll see, like, if you go to Mizzou, Mizzou has connections to obviously every school in the Missouri network. It's paying for X, Y, and Z. And so the nice thing about that is you can go to UMSL and get the same kind of resources that you would get from a much bigger university, University of Missouri. If you go to a private school, they're going to be connected to other private schools. So SLU, for example, is connected to a lot of Jesuit schools. So you're going to get everything that Creighton has. You're going to get everything that that other major Jesuit universities have. So Georgetown is probably in that network. Villanova is probably in that network. So you're getting a lot of really good resources, plus whoever else SLU has partnered with. If you're working at a place like Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt works with Harvard. So I get all the same resources that Harvard students have through going through Vanderbilt. So, in a lot of different ways, kind of depending on what you're doing, you get a whole lot of really good stuff based out of these libraries. And so I don't want to sleep on the fact that I have access to a lot of stuff that Harvard students do. I'm going to go ahead and go to my subjects because this is so huge. Again, I'll just kind of go to the home page here. This is so huge that the general search engine is probably not going to help me. In fact, we'll go ahead and look up Edgar Allan Poe in the whole search engine. This is all of their databases, everything that they have. And we're going to get, yes, Sajak, this is not a good idea. We're going to get so many results. 13,000 results is just too much to really comprehend, right? And so I'm going to filter and format. But before I even do that, I'm going to look at going back to my A to Z databases and really narrowing it down to literature first. So I'm going to go to subjects. I'm going to go to I have a literature portal. I'm going to go to English. And now they're really going to start to narrow down the types of criticism that we're going to have. So the neat thing, This literature criticism from Gale, this is the same one that's from County Library. So that's really useful. Literature online, I think, is probably harder, or kind of a little more nuanced. And then you can kind of see from A to Z all of the kind of things that fall under English. And I might just go down to L to see if there's linguistics, literary manuscript, so I can maybe see the originals, um, literary print culture. So we get some real, we're narrowing down topic by topic. But let's just go ahead and use that Gale for now. Again, like every time I'm signing in, that's a paywall, or that's a wall that would kind of keep me out. Now I'm going to get to my searches, right? So now I'm searching just inside of this one database. Again, this is probably the one that is connected to the library. And I'm going to look up Edgar Allan Poe, if my cat will let me. I'm going to get all the stuff on Poe, right? Like, granted, it's still 2,300 articles or pieces, but this is really going to help me narrow down. Look, biographies, I just have 300. Topic and work overviews, 100. Let's go ahead and use an advanced search. I'm going to use the AND function. So now I'm really just looking for these two things, right? Now I'm down to 2. So this is a very reasonable amount of information. And when I'm down to 2, I'm reading both of these, right? They're both in criticism. And notice, we aren't going to spend too much longer on this because I know this video is running a little long, but notice just kind of briefly, we're talking about the Raven. We're talking about incidents around the Raven. We're talking about things that kind of connected to the Raven, right? But at no point is somebody telling me, this is what the Raven means. So I'm not getting that kind of information here, where if I went back to Google and said meaning of the Raven, who knows who's telling me what, right? Just who knows who's telling me this information. I don't know what Quora is. Spirit Animal Info. I mean, maybe it's interesting. I doubt Poe knew what a spirit animal was. Urban Dictionary, God no, I definitely don't want to go there. Grade Saver, wow, what a fantastic resource this must be. Okay, I'm just going to tell you what the meaning of the poem is, and I might be right, I might be wrong, but I haven't really done any thinking. Right? This is a method to escape thinking. This is a method to engage myself in the thinking process, which I know that's intimidating. Let's go ahead and go. I'm going to want to show you one more thing if you're still kind of guided inside of this database, and maybe I'm looking at all subjects. If I'm doing that all. That was my catalog. If I'm going to this all encompassing spot, right? So remember now, as I'm looking at this, it includes that all the databases that we just looked at, all the hundreds and hundreds of databases. I'm searching all of them right now, which is why this doesn't really take very long, but it seems like it does. And so I can sort, right? I could sort by so many different ways. I can look at the newest or the oldest This is going to help me if I want to look at new historicism or old historicism, right? Is it available online? Yes, I want something that's available online. Is it peer reviewed? I mean, for me, I am always looking for peer reviewed stuff, but I'm in a doctorate program. You're in high school. So you don't necessarily need stuff that's peer reviewed. Is it open access? It doesn't matter if it's open access or not. The format might work. I might want to, just for the sake of helping me out, I might not want to look at whole books. I like chapters. Newspaper articles, 2,200 newspaper articles on Edgar Allan Poe. No, thank you. I don't really want that, but I definitely want articles. I definitely want journals. These are professional publications. Government documents, I don't need that. Maybe you want to include, whatever you want to include. Um, that's really going to help you narrow down the list, right? Um, and then I'm going to hit apply filters. And it's going to apply the filters. And that cut my number in half, right? Granted, this is still too many, but this really helps you get down to a little closer of what you want to look for, right? And then, of course, I can do that advanced search with all these filters on. Ooh, nothing on specifically the Raven. That's crazy. Try that one more time with that one little change. We're down to 1,400 results, right? And look, these are going to be good. Uh, this is where I wanted to get to. So it takes a little bit of manipulating, of kind of getting down to some things, right? But using these sources, these resources are really powerful. And again, like I can't say it enough. Like this is the power of going to SLU. This is the power of paying for this. You're kind of paying just for this because this kind of resource is so much better than all the other things that we could do. And so again, I might not start here. If I know nothing about Edgar Allan Poe, this is way too intimidating. This, I don't know what information to ask yes or no to. But if I'm using that Wikipedia knowledge to then narrow down here, and I'm using this information inside of my paper or our discussion in this case, then I'm really going to be on point. Then I'm really going to kind of have an idea of what I'm looking for, and I'm going to find the right stuff. So nice little tutorial on research. Come to me with research questions. I want to show you one other. This is kind of a nice just thing to know when you have access to these is my favorite resource in the world. The OED is the world's greatest dictionary, and if you have access to pretty much any college, you have access to the OED. I think I signed in the wrong way. What's a good word? Literature. Look at how beautiful this is. So much information just on the word literature. I love it. I love it. I love it. And like I said, it's with pretty much any university connection. The Oxford English Dictionary is like one of my hotkeys because I love it so much. So a little bit about research and research guidelines. I hope that helps. Feel free to ask lots of questions. In fact, that'll be the assignment for this particular thing, is to ask a lot of questions.